Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I have news for you. They give away Dubai chocolate for free at the Dubai pop-up. So all of you who didn't catch this, don't worry, just go out to the street and there you have it, together with a hat and a scarf. Yeah, so we have a great lineup. We have four fantastic leaders of four fantastic companies. And we want to talk to them about how to enhance global performance of companies, but also how to enhance the global performance of Germany and Europe. And we're going to start with Oliver Bäte. Oliver, please come up. Hi. Oliver, your spokesperson sent me a link to a video which recently shows you giving a performance and talking about the achievements of Allianz. And you seem super confident and very energetic. Is this your current state of mind?
I hope so.
Okay.
I have a little bit of jet lag, but generally I'm okay.
Excellent. In 2022, when things weren't going 100% well at Allianz, and there was a little scandal in the US, and so a major German business magazine wrote that you laugh everything away. Is that a strategy, or you're just that happy?
Laughing away, journalists write a lot. I think the answer is you have to work it away.
All right.
Laughing away doesn't work, and so much we can agree.
Excellent. You also have a reputation for being very tough and goal-oriented. Does a CEO today have to be both a magnetic performer and a tough and ardent and relentless leader?
The latter one is more important, and I want to point out that yes, I'm the face of Allianz in many ways, but I have colleagues here, Sima and others, that do a lot of the heavy lifting. By the way, 50% of our board of management being women, and that makes us much stronger than the other shops.
Good. Just the CEO is still a guy, right?
Yeah, but we try to work on opportunities for the future that regardless where you come from, what orientation you have, what gender you have. I'm not trying to make it a program. You don't have to be one or another. You just have to be good.
Excellent. Tough love. That seems to be your recipe, also with regard to your political ideas, which you recently put forward again, and maybe also with regard to a hobby I think you have, which is dressage riding, correct?
Yeah, that's a while ago. I don't have a lot of time for that these days.
Anymore. But is tough love a good description of what you are about?
It's very hard to press any human being into words, but if you like that,
you love it too. Excellent.
Please feel free to use it.
You have 160,000 employees, and what's even more scary, you have 2.2 trillion euros under management. Do you sleep well?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a prerequisite for the job, I think.
Excellent.
And long.
Yeah. And Allianz today is doing well. Yeah. You called it an amazing delivery machine that needs to be oiled. What does that mean in layman's terms, so to speak?
Yeah, well, the issue is Allianz has always had the potential. By the way, this year is our 135th anniversary. So we're very proud of that, and we're going to celebrate that. But as you said, we've had a lot of accidents along the way over the last 20 years. When I joined Allianz, I thought it was perfect timing. That was January 1st, 2008. Some may remember that year. Then we had to sell a bank that caused us a small 14 billion loss. By comparison, recent events were small. Then we had the financial crisis of 2008 and 9. Then we had the Euro crisis of 11 and 12. So we have been, like many companies, many leaders in the room have been going through some stealing. But Allianz has stealing in terms of making you better. What is really important that we get the balance right. And I want to point out, everybody talks about record earnings. People are predicting latest this year, 10 billion in net income. We're the biggest financial institution market cap in Europe now. Looks all great, but the key success is two other things, which we put in 2016. That's first is we want to be number one in every product, every market we serve in terms of customer satisfaction.
Or you get out.
We're not there yet, but we're still working on it. By the way, last year it went slightly down because the enormous price increases we had to do on property insurance really, had an effect, and correctly so. And the other one, we wanted to be the market leader in employee motivation. And while globally, DHL, Deutsche Post, is the best place to work in Germany, it's called Allianz now. And if you'd asked me when I joined Allianz 17 years ago, we would be the most preferred employer in the country, everybody would have looked at us like, what? So there's a lot of changes that have happened. So the success in finance comes from serving clients better than anybody else and having the best people. That's the answer. It's not about Oliver Bäte.
Sounds a little bit like journalism. Agile, you also wanted to be when you started out. Is Allianz agile?
Not yet.
Okay. What does it need to get agile?
A few more years.
Which you got prematurely in prolonging your contract.
There's some trust.
Yes, and certainly earn it so. So you are an outspoken fan of merit organization.
Yes.
Do you know who also is a big fan of a meritocracy? Donald Trump.
We may have different definitions of that.
Exactly. It seems that it's very sort of in to talk about meritocracies, but everybody understands something else when they use the word. What do you understand?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So in 2016, when we set out what we called the renewal agenda, because we said we have enormous heritage out of what we've been building over many, many decades, and the trust that people have in Allianz, and can talk about that. We are the most trusted institution, not just in our industry, but in financial service, objectively measured, and that's super important. Because trust in the industry, we just had the Edelman barometer coming out, is falling everywhere now, also for business. So that's super important. Then we need to understand, where does that trust come from, i.e. you deliver a promise. So the key thing is, we decided 5 levers that are important. By the way, they haven't changed, to become really customer-centric. Everybody talks about it, but it's very hard to do. It is to be digital by default, not digitizing, but designing things similar, spending a lot of time on doing that, and innovating business model that use technology first and then automate old stuff. And one of the key things was what we call inclusive meritocracy. Inclusivity started with, how many exceptional women do we have in leadership? How many people of color do we have in leadership? By the way, it's not just about females. We have had already 2 executive board members and people of color. And how do you make that happen? And merit is more than delivering a performance. It's about, how do you deliver the performance? Do you really need to squeeze the long-term for the short-term result? Are you under-investing or are you over-investing? By the way, we are over-investing in tech. We spend about $6.5 billion a year. We're not getting the value yet out of it. So merit means doing the right thing, and that's very hard, because between the two of us, the definition what's the right thing may be very different. Having somebody pay for 50 million for attending an inauguration party to a family friend may be acceptable in some people, may not be for others.
And you weren't invited?
I would not like to answer that question.
Excellent.
It's the only one I promise not to answer.
Okay. You mentioned already that with your investment in digitization, things are not going as fast as some might have hoped. And Allianz Direct is not growing as fast. Insurance salespeople still seem to be very important.
Yes.
Is that something that you learned? Are there certain limits to the digital and data?
Thank you for the question. So it's incredibly hard to create a totally new business model, right? And people know that. The first direct company we created was in Italy, was called Generaloid. It took 8 years to break even, and 12 years to pay back the original capital. So it takes about a decade to build something that really works. And people tend to forget that there is a reason for that. And then there are cycles on top of that. I think Allianz Direct will do really well, but it has 2 functions. One is to be allowing a value proposition for self-serving customers that want to save money and says, I'm doing the work myself and therefore I'm getting a better price. But there's a totally different story that is absolutely overlooked. Because we design it as digital by default, all channels over time will go onto that platform, because it's not the automation of a 100-year-old model. It is designed with technology on the inside. So over the next few years, we're going to move one channel after the other onto the direct technology, because it's built with technology first, the human in mind, but technology first, and not automating a human process. So that is the story that people don't understand, and it's going to give us massive advantages and that we already see today.
You go ahead. Why do you think it is that Germany is lagging behind and is pretty slow in becoming a digital and data industry and society? And you have 1 minute at max.
It's a very important question, and it's the answers at the moment are very sad. Because we've come to a point where we used to be innovators in almost anything, in any engineering sciences. The world is full of engineers and Nobel Prize winners from Germany. But at some point, we got a disconnect between the invention and the putting it into physical reality and making it a business. And I don't know where and how that happened. And the second thing is we became so rich that nobody thought about what happens if that business model crashes, as it is happening now. So, and we had a situation like this before at the end of the 90s when we were called the sick men of Europe. And we had the same, what we in German call Lohnnebenkosten in 97, 98 that are going to kill us. We had the same sort of rise in sickness rates and others, but we had a big advantage. We had China really taking off and Germany being a key partner of that growth trajectory. That has ended. So unfortunately, we don't have the winds under our wing. We have war, we have lots of refugees, completely mismanaged migration, lots of other problems. So it's time we wake up. And that's the problem I also have with politics. That's why I made the comment. And by the way, I just want to correct that in two ways.
Are we talking about the comment that, about sick days?
Yeah, no, but it's about productivity and accountability. We have created a society where you as an individual can make a decision where the cost of that decision is borne by everybody else, but not by yourself. And whether that is, you know, when I stay home or not, how many times I go to the doctor, there's always somebody else paying, and I don't have any role in controlling that cost. And that anybody who studied economics and social sciences for 1,000 years knows these systems cannot prevail.
Oliver, one needs incentives, understood. When you made this point, also in writing, you talked about too many people lying in the social hammock, which is an old cliche. Why did you use this specific cliche of which everybody knows, you know, it's going to enrage many people?
Yeah, because we have created something amazing, positive, that's called the social security net. And we need that because I grew up many years in the United States, you don't have it there. So we need that. But the moment it creates too much of an incentive to optimize anyone on top of the society or at the bottom to optimize yourself, it starts to dysfunction when it scales. So that's the point. By the way, there was a lot of things shortened. Nobody wants to take money away from low-income people that are really sick. So that's, you know, unfortunately missed out in the article. And by the way, the numbers in Allianz are half of what the average numbers are, right? Because we work on that in the company every day. But for Allianz Germany, the number is still much worse than it is in any other country in Europe, bar France. So we need to think about that because the investor will not put the capital into Germany if our taxes are higher, if our energy costs are higher, if there's lower innovation, there's more regulation, and people just do not have the productivity.
But is this why Germany is doing pretty poorly right now, but our major companies are doing better and better, including yours? Is this why you are global and the country is local, or how should we make sense of that?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer. I don't know really the answer, but indeed, it is also, Thomas can also talk about it, we can internally compare. So we can give you an example. The price for an actuary in Poland and Romania 10 years ago was 40,000 euro salary. It's now doubled. It's 80 plus. But they have 20 days of vacation, not 30. They have 4 sickness days, not 20. They don't have 8 public holidays, but 2. So then we said, okay, we have much higher productivity. We measure that at the end of the day as profit per employee. Germany was always better. And then you see that number disappearing. And that's a little bit the frog in the boiling water syndrome. We had it too good for too long, and now everything is exploding. And we need to talk about it. I don't have all the answers, but the first thing that we need to do is talk about, do we have a problem? And if we have a problem, like we in Allianz, we talk to our workers' council and says we need to fix it. And that's why it works. If you don't stop ignoring the problem, we will not do very well.
And do you miss other CEOs of major German companies joining you in this discussion publicly?
No, they are slowly but surely starting. But it's very important because everyone has an agenda, and you're not getting a lot of applause for putting the finger into a wound. And let me say that very clearly. It is absolutely embarrassing that we have so-called experts saying it's not 20 days, it's the statistics. Okay, let's assume it's 18. It's still double of everybody else. What? So the issue is, and now the political leadership tells you, don't worry, we'll do some changes. Oli has to pay a little bit more taxes. And then we have so much money for all the defense, climate change, everything will. Don't worry. There is painless change. Painless change.
Which you know from experience doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Excellent.
It's a fata morgana. So we need as a society to talk about it. And again, I don't have the answers, but together we'll find the answers. But we need to talk about it.
Oliver, I'm going to jump over a couple of questions to ask you. Is Donald Trump an asset or a liability for the American economy, for our economy?
I don't know what the answer will be. We'll see what he does, because there's a big difference, as we saw the last time, between rhetoric and outcome. It's a very short statement to make, but I can tell you his policies for financial services companies are much better than the Biden administration, because he is really focusing on things to work rather than trying to apply political theory. In particular, the Biden administration, you have to say it, was vilifying foreigners and extorting money from us. Donald Trump has many flaws, but this is not one of them.
Especially in the financial industry, private equity, hedge funds, and so on, but also in other parts of the economy, even in Silicon Valley, people warm up to Donald Trump, it seems. And by doing this, they also kind of warm up to populism. Do you see a big danger there?
Yes, absolutely. It's really a big stress for us, but we also need to not just complain about it, we need to do something about it. And again, wherever I go in the world, we're in more than 70 countries, the first thing I hear says, we love Germany, but, and I say, what's the but? Stop lecturing us about what a great society looks at. Stop lecturing us about your climate change program, because we have our own. Stop lecturing us about your energy structure. Stop lecturing us. And I think it would be really good, before we start lecturing, we fix our business model first. We fix our problems first, and then still don't lecture.
Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that he's a great performer. Thank you so much, Oliver Bäte.